Cool. All right. Thank you, ladies, for being here. And come to a seat to start out, whether you're sitting up on something or right on your mat. Just be comfortable. And the breathing exercise that we will open our practice with is called Nadi Shodhana, and it's alternate nostril breathing. So just like everything else, like I was just alluding to, if this is in any way uncomfortable or if you've got any congestion, sometimes we get blocked up in one nostril. So if it's really just not accessible tonight, you can just skip it and just simply breathe here. But if you'd like to try this out, some of you I know have done this before. Traditionally, you'll take your right hand, I feel like I'm doing a little Trekkie thing here, but you fold in your index and middle finger, and then your thumb in your pinky and ring finger are going to, thumb comes to the right nostril and the other two fingers come to the left nostril. So what we do is we toggle back and forth, breathing in through one side and then breathing out through the other side. And then you stay on that same side, breathing in and then switch again and breathe out. It sounds complicated, but you'll get the hang of it. And other little note on that is that you don't want to really smash your nostril. You'll find that if you just kind of gently apply some pressure, it'll do the trick. So I think that's it. Oh, also if this, this hand position is for any reason not working for you, you can just do the thumb and the forefinger. The way that I showed you is just the traditional way that we do this. So all right, let's find our nice tall spine here and take a couple of deep breaths here. Just regular breaths through both of your nostrils. Maybe your eyes close down as you settle in here and get comfy. And this week I'm beginning into the Niyamas. We finished the Yamas last week. We're getting into the Niyamas, and our first Niyama is Saucha, which is purity or cleanliness. And I'll talk a little bit more about that after we do our Nadi Shodhana, but the word Nadi means channel. We have a system of 72,000 energy channels in our body, nadis, and Shodhana means purification. So this is a perfect exercise to do for this first of our niyamas of purity, cleanliness. So when you're ready, let's take another deep breath, just a regular breath. And then with your hand position of choice, we'll close rather the right nostril, breathing in through the left side. At the top of that breath, then close your left nostril, breathe out through the right. Breathe in through the right. And switch, breathing out through the left. Inhale through the left. Switch, exhale through the right. Inhale right. And exhale left. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. One more inhale left. Exhale right. And release. Breathe through both nostrils. Just noticing how you feel. Slowly start to find your way into a little bit of movement here. If you'd like to add in the playlist, please feel free to grab your phone or device and hit play. You can switch the cross of your legs here. Shifting, moving anything around that needs it. And sitting up nice and tall once again. Let's take our arms up to the high on a big breath in, sweeping them up. And exhale, cactus those arms, open the chest. Inhale, lift the fingertips high. And exhale, twist over to your right. So your left hand finds the outside of your thigh. Stay a couple of breaths here. Good, and then we'll unwind and lift back up through center. Another cactus of the arms on your exhale. Open the chest, spread the collarbones. Inhale, lift the fingertips. And exhale, twist over to the left. Let's lift back up through center. Arms reach. Bend the elbows, chest opens. Inhale, take it up. And exhale, reach the arms forward. Sukhasana fold. Let your chin draw in toward the chest, lengthen the back of your neck. Press the tailbone back a little bit. Then let's walk our way back up to seated. And then I'm going to turn to the side here and release the feet to the mat, knees bent. You can hang on either behind your knees or maybe the tops of the shins. Feet about hip width distance apart. Give yourself a little space here. And then on an inhale, sit up tall, lift the chest. And exhale, hanging onto your legs, round back, tuck your chin, tuck your pelvis. So we're doing a seated cat-cow, rolling up and over those sit bones, lifting. Exhale, release it back, really round. If you picked one grip and want to change it, you can do that. Let's take one more. Now come back up to neutral. Let's cross at the ankles and make way to tabletop position. We're mobilizing through that seated cat-cow. So right here, maybe you sway the hips a little bit side to side for a little different movement. You might circle around. You might just go back to a child's pose and rest there for a moment. Take another couple of breaths here as you get situated. And then once you're ready, let's bring the right foot up in between the hands, setting up a low lunge. Left knee might want to scoot back to deepen in. And breathe here into the hips. The next time we inhale, let's get a little bit lighter on the fingertips to lift the chest up. Take the gaze up as well. And then as we exhale, shift the hips back into a half splits, lengthening, straightening through the right leg as the toes flex. Inhale, come forward back into that lifted lunge. Lifted as in the chest, as we're still nice and grounded here, and we'll exhale back into this half split. And one more time, coming forward. Exhale it back, Ardha Hanuman. And take a pause here, keep breathing. And option to either drop your forehead down toward your shin, or if you keep your chin pointing toward your foot with that foot flexing, that'll add a little sensation here. So see what you need. Good. And then as we release this, come on forward. Take the foot over toward the left side of the mat. Take your shin down for a brief pigeon here. It's the cousin of our half pigeon, the brief pigeon. No, we won't be here as long as we normally would. We're not as warm as we will be when we visit this pose again, spoiler alert, but keep it upright and just take a couple more breaths here. So we're pretty active here in this pidge, this early pigeon. Now shift the weight forward into your hands as we get ready to release. And to do that, we'll get the left knee up underneath, swing your right leg back, and take it into a balance here. So right leg is hip height, flex into those toes. Keep both hands on the ground, even if you're really wanting to do that full balance. Keep them both on the ground and see if you can shift your weight to the midline. It wants to come over to the left, I know it does. Take a breath here. Lift your heel a little bit, and then exhale, bring the knee into the chest. Really pull that shin up away from the floor. Inhale, lengthen it out. Maybe lift your gaze slightly. Exhale, bring it in. One more time. Lengthen back out. Check to see where your weight ended up. It can move when we start moving the body. Lengthen, keep your right leg long, set your toes down. I'm gonna scoot forward because my blocks are in the way. Press into your heel. So your right toes are down on the mat. We're getting a nice calf stretch here. Take another breath. And then from here, ease up out of that calf stretch, leave that right leg long, pivot your left shin onto the floor beside you, lift your right arm high. Breathe into that right side body, reach the right arm over your ear. Nice little modified side plank here.
Really open up, arc up through the right side of your body. And let's let this go, coming back to all fours, hands and knees. Take a breath here. Let it out. And then we'll step the left foot up between the hands, coming into that low lunge. You can manually grab that ankle and bring your foot up a little bit more if it didn't land quite where you intended. Couple of breaths here as you feel out the hips, and then we'll get light, coming up to fingernails, lifting the chest. That's our inhale. Exhale, shift it back. Hips above that right grounded knee, toes flex. Inhale, coming forward. Heart comes lifted, and exhale, we round back. So this is almost like a cat-cow motion too. Got a theme going here. And we'll take it back. I think that was 3. If I miscounted, you can do another one or hang here with me for a couple breaths here in this nice hamstring opener. Good, now let's let this release to a lunge. Left foot walks its way across to the right wrist. Shin comes down. Half pigeon. Active. Just a few breaths here. Paving the way. Still find a little ease here as much as you can. And as we release, come up to this right knee. Left leg swings around. Wrists line up under the elbows, under the shoulders, coming into this balance. Press your right top of the foot into the mat. Press your hands into the mat. Breathe in. Get a little longer through that left heel. Exhale, knee into chest. Maybe all the way to the forehead. Who knows? Lengthening out. Pulling it in. So even though this is gentle, we're still moving. We're still working. Lots of good work going on here. Lengthen out one more time. Yeah, see, my weight came over to the right. It happens. It's all good. And then take those left toes down. Press into the ball of the foot. Get a nice stretch. Into that left calf. And then we'll ease up out of that calf stretch, legs still long. Right shin pivots, lifting up and over with the left arm for our side plank variation. I could see myself here in this screen. My hand is pretty far forward. A block could be under your hand, just to stack the wrist under the shoulder and try not to lock out your elbow. Coming back down to all fours, letting that go. Option here to pop into your downward facing dog or sink the hips back for child's pose. Where are you feeling like you need to be? If you're in dog, you could be walking your dog, moving around. If you are in child, let's walk our hands over to the left side of the mat to get a side body stretch. Come in through center, taking it over to the right. Let's come back through the center. And let's all meet in downward facing dog. And walk up to the top of the mat, forward fold. Those who took downward dog the whole time, you might have started to feel that. Or maybe you rethought it and came into child's. Soften your knees here, ragdoll your arms if you like it. And let's sway the torso. Head might shake yes and no. And a little more softness, shoulders and neck. Let your spine decompress here. And then let's let the hands come down to the mat. Feet can remain wide or work in toward the midline. Bend into your knees, rise all the way up. Big sweep of the arms. Exhale, take those cactus arms, open the chest. Inhale, lift the arms high. Exhale, bring the hands into heart center. Let's inhale, reach arms high. Maybe take a slight little back bend here. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lift up halfway, come to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Stationary in the feet. A little variation on our sun salutation. Bend the elbows, open the chest, lean back. Inhale, lift the arms high. And exhale, hands into heart. Inhale, arms sweep. Exhale, we bow. Lift half, extend the crown toward the front of your space. Forward fold, exhale. Plant your hands. Step your left foot to the back of the mat. Low lunge. And before we go anywhere with this, let's find some movement forward and back, just a few breaths here. And then as you land forward in your lunge, soften your back knee. Remember, you can always keep that lifted if you need some more here. We'll open the right arm high, twisting. Take another big breath here. Try to get a little broader across the chest. And then exhale, close it down. On our inhale, we'll open up the left arm here. You might come to the inside of your right foot with your right hand, and you might come out of the hips a bit. So this is, if you're still on the back knee, this is a variation of our side angle. So that left arm might reach up and over the ear. If you're up off that knee, you can have that heel still lifted or dial that heel down for a more true version of your side angle. And then in these last couple of breaths, let's just circle this left arm around. Find a little motion in that shoulder joint. Let's go 3 times. Call this an air guitar sometimes. And then we'll come down to the inside of your right foot. Okay, so both hands inside that right foot. Lizard lunge. Breathe here, just a couple of breaths. Let's center the right foot. Come off of the back knee. You have the option to step back and take a vinyasa or step up to your forward fold. If you're committed to a gentler practice today, come to a forward fold. Look, you guys are really small on my screen. I'm looking, I'm like, is there movement? Is somebody taking, I think Heather's taking that vinyasa. I love when people are doing their own thing. You guys know me, that makes me happy. Following your own lead. Let's rise up. Heather and anyone else who vinyasa, come to your forward fold. We'll rise all the way up to stand. Take those cactus arms. Inhale, sweep the arms high. And exhale, come back to your forward fold. Lift up halfway. And as we exhale, we'll plant the hands and step the right foot back this time. Give yourself enough width between your feet to balance here. Even if you're coming down with that back knee eventually. First, we're rocking forward and back. Especially as female practitioners, giving the pelvis a little extra space in some of these postures, particularly when the hips are orienting toward the top of the mat. We need a little bit of extra width between our feet most of the time. Coming down with the back knee if you're going there. Coming into this low lunge. Block could be under your right hand. We'll twist it open, left arm first. Traditional twist here. Awareness here in your right shoulder. Try to lift up out of it if you're really bearing a lot of weight there. And unlock your right elbow. Breathe. And come down either to the inside or outside of that foot. And open up the right arm. Side angle variation, right arm can reach up over the ear. Couple breaths here. And start to take those circles, coming toward the front of your space and then circling it around back. Up over the ear and down and around. Do 3 rotations. Taking your big guitar solo. And then coming down. Inside of the foot. Lizard lunge. I'm still getting pretty warm here myself, even though we're keeping things slightly gentler. So, I gave you guys that directive if you need more, but if you need even less than I'm giving, know that it's an option. So coming to either side of your left foot, lift your back knee, stepping back to flow, stepping up to forward fold. Take all the time you need getting to this forward fold. Let's let our feet widen, hip width apart here. Left hand comes to the mat or block, lift the right arm high, bend your left knee, twist open. Feel that outer right hip. Close that hand down. Inhale the left arm high. Right knee bends. Close it down on an exhale. Inhale, rise all the way up to stand. Reach the arms high. And bring your hands into heart center. Now if you've got a couple of blocks, go ahead and grab them. Por favor. Mine are at the back of my mat, so I'll give you an opportunity if you need to run into the next room. I didn't say anything about the blocks at the beginning, my apologies. Without blocks, water bottle is great. Maybe there's a little table in your corner. Something that you could put your hands on would be fabulous. In the absence of that, your hands could just float in the air. You'll just work a little harder, just a fair warning. So our right foot is going to become the base here. Hands are coming to these blocks, and left leg is going to lift behind you for a grounded warrior three. So highest height on the blocks, and we'll still be at fingertips. So we're floating. This is what the floating version looks like. And so the difference between our standing split and our warrior three is where the heart is in relation to our low body. So once we dip below, that's a standing split. It doesn't really have much to do with how high that back leg is. As you guys know, I don't care about that. So breathe here. Like, how long are we gonna be here? And then soften into that right knee, lower your back toes, coming into a lunge, bring the hands to heart center, and then dial that back foot down. So we're in a warrior two, shortened warrior two, straighten the front leg. Tee those arms out. Adjust your stance here. We're coming into triangle. So reach the right fingertips forward. Reach this left hip back. You could even take your hand on your hip like a little teapot here. And then perhaps along the way you grab one of your blocks. Right hand comes down onto that block. Now, if you will, keep your hand on your hip here. And feel where it is in space. Maybe you kind of manually peel this left side of your body open a little bit more. Breathe. If eventually that left arm wants to extend up, it can. Maybe you just experiment with staying here. Take another breath. And then let's close this down. Other block could come into play here. Both hands to the mat. Left foot steps in and up a bit. Toes pointing forward. Take a breath in, lifting the chest. And exhale, find your pyramid pose. You can move those blocks back a bit. Try also to move your right hip back some. Hips squaring toward the front of the mat. So you guessed it, we've got a little width between our feet. We're not on a tightrope. Good, and then from here, let's bring both the blocks preemptively to the inside of your right foot. Take a breath as you reach your right arm high, revolve triangle. Just one breath. Exhale, close that down. Some of you know that's not my favorite pose. Maybe that's why I just made it one breath. And then inside that right foot, blocks or hands to the mat, lengthen your left leg back. We're coming back into lizard. Set that back knee down. And maybe, possibly maybe, your elbows start to come down this time as well. We've got 3 settings to these blocks. The first 2 are pretty nice and sturdy for our elbows. It could get a little precarious on the highest setting. And also on the highest setting, then you're probably about the same height as you would be with hands to the floor. So just see where you go here. If you want to turn out your right toes to about a 1 o'clock position, letting that knee open slightly, you can do that. Finally, crooked monkey, bending that back knee, reaching back with the right hand, seeing what happens. Nice quad stretch on the left side. Breathe into it. Wherever you landed. Good. Now let's let this go. Shift back, just briefly. And then let's come back for our half pigeon. Right foot traveling across. I mentioned this would happen, so we're a little warmer in the hips now. You could use props underneath the sternum, underneath the forehead as you come down this time. So you've got several breaths here. Finding your way in, finding some stillness, finding a little additional ease in your body as you stretch and breathe. Circling back to our Niyama. This is the first of our Niyamas, which are a counterpart to the Yamas. Niyama translates to observance, and it's also sometimes referred to as positive action. Our Yamas are moral restraints, the things that we should avoid in our practice. And Yamas are our things we observe, are things that we do to move ourselves forward. So purity, cleanliness, seems pretty cut and dry, and we can look at it in a literal way. Let's come on up. Moving up through the chest, easing onto the right side. As we let go of our pigeon, slide your back leg in to a Z-shaped deer pose and take a twist over to your right. So when we come to our yoga mat, our practice, making sure our space is clean, making sure the body is clean, all of that pretty obvious stuff. But then also going a little bit beyond that, let's twist over to the left, countering. Noticing where our thoughts are at. Noticing our energy. Are we staying pure in our thoughts and our other practices? Or are we letting negativity enter into the equation? So taking it a little deeper in that sense, let's come to all fours and stretch your right leg out. You can also take a three-legged dog here as you circle and let go of that right side. So Saucha is not just about literal cleanliness, but just cleanliness all around. You can look at it in terms of our diet, what we eat, what we do, who we surround ourselves with. Let's come back up to the top of the mat, forward folding. Grab your blocks if they're not there. We'll take the hands onto the blocks and we'll set right up for side two. So we started out, in case you forgot, in this grounded warrior three, right leg is lifting, left leg becomes the base. Keep the chest lifted. Little soft bend to the left knee, maybe a bigger bend if the hamstring's tight. Breathing here, balancing. Even if you're on the blocks, we've got them there for a reason, but you can also take hands to heart. You can float those hands. Take another breath or two. And start to soften into your left knee, carefully landing that back foot in a shortened warrior two. And then straighten the left leg. Setting up for triangle, Trikonasana. Bumping the right hip back, reaching the left fingertips forward. Grabbing that block along the way. Right hand to right hip as you really open up here. Take another breath. And let's close this down into our pyramid pose. Adjust your feet. Squaring those hips toward the front of the mat. If you're still on your blocks, you might walk them back a little bit. Take a little lift at the chest. And exhale, fold in. One thing that I find to be a challenge in the practice of Saucha is gossip, avoiding gossip, and the negative, it's not just the negative self-talk, but what we engage in, the ugliness towards others. And then coming to our revolve triangle. Right hand stays on a block or comes to the mat, and left arm opens up. Just one breath. And take your left hand down inside of your foot. Lengthening the right leg back into lizard. Finding your way in, dropping that back knee. And then going to your place, whether it's elbows down, knee opening up, left foot rotating to a 11 o'clock position. One thing I really like about, if you follow the Yamas and Niyamas in order, they always follow the same order. And of course they're a constant practice and they're all in concert with one another. But when we study them one after another, I really appreciate Saucha following a parigraha. If you recall, a parigraha is about letting go and non-hoarding, non-grasping. So that's the last of our yamas. And then when we get into the niyamas, can come into crooked monkey, reaching back, bending your right knee, if you're taking that. So when we get into the niyamas and thinking about purity, when we let go of things, whether it's physical things, then we make space for a more clean existence, clean surroundings, clean self, uncluttered thoughts. So it all works together, it all weaves together really harmoniously. So we'll let go. And we'll start to work our way into our half pigeon. Oh, I did it. On the other side, I gave you guys a little bit of a shift back into a half split. So go there if you need it. I'm already here, so I'm going to stay here and take it down when you're ready. Finding your way in. Take another breath here. Start to make your way up, easing onto the left hip as you pull your right leg in. Deer pose. Twisting over to the left, bringing both hands to the outside of your left thigh. Counter twisting over to the right when you're ready. And then if you took a three-legged or table or dog on the other side, you are welcome to go there or swing the legs out in front of you. That's where we're going. We can circle, a little pop of the hip there. You can circle out your hip just as well from seated. Maybe a windshield wiper or two for both hips. And let's lengthen both legs out long in front of you. Keeping a soft bend of the knees. You could even tuck a blanket behind them if you wanted. We'll lift up through the arms, through the crown of the head, and fold forward. You can take a more active version of this posture, hanging on to your feet, maybe even adding flexion to your toes, like they're pressing up against an imaginary wall here. If you need more stretch in the backs of your legs, that can feel really nice. And if and when you want to let all that action go and just take this into a place of softness, you can take it there. Let's come back to a nice, tall, stacked spine, sitting upright. Take a breath here. And as slowly or as rapidly as you'd like to lie down onto the mat, take yourself down. Lowering all the way and finding some length here. Full body stretch. And then let's come into a happy baby pose. Knees hug in, then feet go up toward the ceiling. Maybe you bind your big toes or grab the edges of your feet. Try to let your tailbone get a little heavier. And you can find some side to side motion here. You need a little additional stretch in your legs. You could straighten one leg at a time or both. Keep pressing the tailbone toward the mat, toward the front of your space. And let the feet rise up toward the ceiling for a waterfall. Option for a block or blanket underneath your tailbone here. And of course, if you want to take it a little deeper into a shoulder stand and or plow, you're welcome to go either of those places. When you're ready to let go of your inversion, hug the knees back into the chest, keeping the legs side by side or wrapping the right thigh over the left. We'll open the arms out to a T. Breath in, exhale, knees drop to the left. Taking your gaze to the right. Find some deep breaths here. And we'll start to come back to center, unraveling. Set up your second side here, left wraps over the right or knees side by side. Exhale as you drop the knees to right. Gaze either neutral or take it over to the left. Coming back to your center when you're ready. Lengthening out here, another full body stretch. And as we get ready to come into our final place of rest, you might be in it already, lying flat on your back. You could utilize props here, just giving that option. So we didn't do a lot of back bending, so if you are feeling an urge to open up your chest, your heart space, that's what we do when we back bend. You could roll your blanket behind your spine. You could take blocks mid-back and behind the base of your cranium here. So just see what works. You could also take a back bend and then drop into a more traditional Shavasana. So find your landing space. Let it be unique to you. Now, as within our yoga practice, we try something out and it's simply not working, doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel like the right shape, the right way for this moment, know that you have that agency to make a change, to make it work for you. And once you settle in, release your breath, release your jaw, soften your eyebrows, soften your hands and your feet. Soften your legs, your arms, shoulders and hips, abdomen and chest. Letting yourself be right here. As you get ready to move from the space, whether now or a few minutes from now, taking all the time you need. Let your breath deepen. When you're ready to find your way back, find your way into small movement, hands and feet. Carefully making your way off of any props and coming up to a seated position. However you can safely move your way there. And we'll let the thumbs come to our heart center, palms pressing together. And just take a couple moments here, acknowledging the work you've done on your mat. And as we get ready to move this practice off of the mat, taking a couple breaths on this practice of Saucha, what it
resonates like in you, where you could liberate and purify or maybe streamline some of your thoughts or your physical space, physical belongings, what you're putting into your body, however it sounded or resounded in your thoughts and in your heart tonight. Taking a breath in on that. Exhaling it out as we resolve to take it off the mat with us. We'll lift the thumbs up to the third eye center, bowing to the light within. And as we close our practice, we say to each other, Namaste. Thank you, my ladies.